So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we are going to look at the weekly energy via the tarot, astrology, some holistic wellness, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. We are finishing up Capricorn season this week. Capricorn season, it's earth energy. It's definitely slowed things down, especially after the holidays, which is pretty typical. But we're even seeing this reflected in the astrology. We do have Jupiter and Uranus still in retrograde, but those are the only planets, I should say, right now. And transit-wise, there hasn't really been a lot going on. Yes, there are some things that are popping up, some frustrations, things that maybe aren't working out exactly how we had hoped, anticipated, maybe even throwing us off course a little bit. We are going to be having and I should say this week, topically, we'll get into this a little bit deeper, but topically this week, it looks pretty similar to what we were seeing last week. We do, however, have a new moon on Sunday. New moon, well, depending on where you're located, a new moon in Capricorn. And then the sun is going to move into Aquarius on the 19th. So, yeah, I think Capricorn season, it gives us an opportunity. Yes, I said slow down, but that's mainly because of how the astrological transits are playing out. Capricorn is known for building strength, endurance, and it really is about like planning for longevity, our future. In the astrology, it is ruled by the 10th house, which is our career, our achievements, and even like our public standing, right? Like how, even if you're not a public figure, just how people see us, what we look like on the outside, so to speak, if that makes sense, right? How we're perceived by our environment, and not specifically our loved ones, kind of, but more just in that a little bit more of a professional standing, so to speak. So it's a good time a lot of changes happening right now. I think we're kind of trying to figure out where the dust is going to settle. And walking into this week, we've definitely had some things that might be popping up a little bit to challenge us with where we're at. This isn't anything new. A lot of this stuff that we're seeing pop up is old stuff. Stuff that is going to kind of challenge what we've learned, how far we've come to date. Again, we'll look a little bit deeper at the astrology and at the tarot. I'm going to start off with an energy cleansing just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out those places we might feel blocked or limited. It's a great time to set your own intention for the reading as well, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, mind that you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. It's always a great way to personalize these collective readings. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, or if you're interested in more of that realignment of self, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we're taking care of our mind, body, soul, that's really where we're able to manifest our best life, our happiness, our fulfillment, our abundance, whatever that may look like to you. And I would love to help support in whatever way possible. Definitely hit me up if you're interested. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, with that, let's get into it. All right. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so they may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels. All right. So I'm hearing this energy of like, well, okay. So I'm hearing like there's a lot of awareness coming in for you right now. This is awareness, yes, of other people in your life. I'm going to pull up the astrology chart, excuse me. But I'm hearing this more as like awareness of yourself. Because I feel like what I was hearing is reality check. There are some things that are popping up, and there might even be more things to unfold if you're not necessarily seeing this quite yet, where it's this value of like, this is where things are at. We all have ideas, fantasies, desires about how we want things to look, what avenue we want them to take, etc. But then there's actually what happens in real life, in real time. And not in a bad way. I don't think this is something that like, it's not a penalization. It's not a punishment. It's not about you getting in trouble. It's just kind of connecting. I keep hearing that temperance energy in the tarot. Temperance is all about kind of like taking what we sense spiritually, more in the etheric realms, and bringing it into reality. So this idea, okay, I like this. The cutting board often signifies refinement, places that we do need to refine a little bit more. This would make a lot of sense as to encountering certain situations, people this week that might challenge those things for you, challenge the old, maybe promises that you've made in the past, things resurfacing. For some of you, it's like people coming to cash in on whatever that is. It doesn't even have to be monetary. It can just be like, they're cashing in that IOU. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. It feels, I'm hearing it's giving you, this is bringing information on how to make certain adjustments, or the adjustments that you do need to make. It does look like it's really beneficial to put yourself out there, or I'm hearing like we'll see how the tarot plays out, but there might be something that you kind of got yourself stuck in, is what it feels. This might be something that's been holding you down, holding you back a lot, or has consumed so much of your time, your energy, that maybe it has been hard to kind of get out of your own environment. There's more to explore. There's more available. More than what meets the eye. And I'm hearing this as like part of it is about focusing your mentality elsewhere, i.e. what you need to refine, right? Like what you need to the layers that you need to peel back. And I don't feel like this is anything we have to think too hard about. I am hearing that's why new experiences are important this week, because they help shed light on your current circumstances, right? When we see how other people live, other people do things, etc., it kind of challenges our way of living. And it's helping you release some burden, or ways that you limit, ways that you restrict yourself, or invite certain energies in your life that end up restricting you. I love this. The diving helmet is about our resources. It's about what we have to rely on. And this is in our blocked energy. So I am hearing this also as building some level of stability, but it doesn't really look like you have all the tools there quite yet, or like all the pieces to the puzzle, meaning what you have to work with in front of you is not enough. Sorry, I don't mean that in a bleak way or a harsh way. You might think that you do because of whatever these promises represent for you. Maybe people who have said, yeah, I got your back, or I'll do X, Y, and Z. But it's not, there's something that's not really working out. And again, it's this thing that it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you should have known. I don't necessarily get that vibe. I get a vibe of certain things need to be addressed that are right in front of you. Maybe you won't be doing that a lot this week, because where we're seeing the resistance is via Chiron and the fortune point and Jupiter, which unfortunately, that's all. Fortune point and Jupiter is our abundance. Chiron is about healing, evolving, growing towards that. We all have the certain blinders that we don't see, right? We all have the things that we think are actually providing us sustenance, providing us life force, but in actuality, it's just limiting or restricting us. And this might not be about new opportunities as much as it is seeing what's out there, gathering information, figuring out what some of those next steps might be for you. Or it could just be this simple thing of bringing in things that feel like heart honoring, that are honoring that prana, that life force energy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be health and wellness. I mean, obviously that's going to be beneficial on all levels. But this can just be a hobby, an interest, a restaurant you've always wanted to go to, a play you wanted to see, something, an experience you wanted to have, etc. Things that allow you to kind of escape from some of these other to-dos. I'm seeing that this week is a lot about balance. So we're in the waning phase of the moon cycle, moving towards the new moon. The new moon is when we set new intentions. Like I was talking about in the very beginning, Capricorn helps us figure out where we want to put our strength and our endurance, what we actually want to invest in, what is actually worth our time and our energy. And I'm seeing some of this stuff that's around you right now is, and some of it's not. And this is stuff that you know, again, stuff that you've been working on, working towards. So that tension that I was talking about is going to pretty much be with us throughout the week. As we move towards the end of the week, some of it will lessen, but Chiron is just tensely aspected throughout. Chiron is the wound healer. It bridges the outer planets with the inner planets. And it actually goes back to that temperance energy I was talking about in the very beginning, where like we can know where we want to be, what our goals are, what our ideals are for our relationships, whatever you're dealing with presently. You can know what you want it to look like, but there's still that practical game plan that we have to come up with in real time. And Chiron's a little stubborn right now, like doesn't want to look too hard into things. It's in Aries, so a little bit of a selfish energy. The fortune point is also in Aries, and Jupiter is in Cancer. So it's basically like, I don't want to do this. I want it to be done for me. why isn't this working out? It can be a little bit more of a selfish mentality. And I'm not accusing anyone of that per se. But we even see it with the first. We have 7 of Wands, 4 of Wands. A promise that's not working out. Lots of baby energy. Lots of like not really going to work that hard. Going back to the tension with Jupiter that I was just talking about. I'm only going to give so much of my time, of myself. Even though it's probably a really important thing to do. 4 of Wands represents home, family, celebrations, etc. And that's in our blocked energy beginning of the week. So there might be discord within the family dynamics, people that you're close with, people that you consider family, etc. A difference of opinion, 4 of Cups, taking something for granted. Someone not really being able to... I'm hearing like someone's letting the fight get in the way, right? Like it's like they would rather fight and win than work together. That's what the 4 of Cups is all about. Like I said, taking something for granted, being despondent, not wanting to think too hard, not wanting to go too deep. And someone's fighting. Let's see who this is. Let's see who this Empress energy is. Could be a mother figure. Okay. 9 of Wands, 5 of Cups. Someone who's on the defensive about how things are moving, right? Like, this is what I'll highlight. And I've kind of said this a lot throughout our readings, but we are in a lot of transformative change right now. And it's on big things, like things that we need to be mindful about our life, or they're going to be changed for us. And that's kind of what is hard to take into account. Oftentimes, we think we have some level of control, which we do over ourselves, right? But sometimes life happens, and things get pushed in a certain direction, and it looks like something's really struggling to take ownership. I wonder why. Let's look. Oh, hey, Karen. How's it going? Happy day. Glad to see you. I know. It's hard. I think, like, what I found is, like, I'm really good at making plans, but then actually implementing them. Making things consistent change, consistent habits, especially those staple foundational things that we do need in our life, right? The reason that we connect, collaborate with people, community, family, etc., it is to make life more sustainable, more abundant, etc. And if people are breaking their promises, or I don't know, maybe it's too much to ask this person to be honest, vulnerable, transparent, but it's hard. And I think that that's kind of where we have to realign ourselves. What I love, sorry, I kind of veered off the point, Karen, but what I love is how when I think the best way, excuse me, for consistent change is implementing one thing, 2 things at a time. Keeping it small, getting the ball rolling. Once it feels like it's a habit, it's ingrained, a week, 2 weeks, a month, however long you need, then you add on another thing. And it helps us not overwhelm ourselves. But I think kind of like the change, if I can be bold to say, but also what we're seeing in the astrology is it is those bigger things that are going to matter 5-10 years down the road, the choices that we make right now. And as much as I think that there is a lot working for us as a whole with this Empress energy, there are some things that there are some areas of resistance that are popping up. So we're going to see that resistance in our present relationships. The Hermit. Taking time, I think, is important, especially to get clear around certain dynamics where you do have certain obligations. And this feels to me like things that can make your life easier. You might not like the dynamic, you might not like the situation, but are there things that you can do to kind of refine to make it easier for you, to make it better for you, etc.? You might need to find out some information around this, or this, again, is part of that energy of you exploring new things. Let me actually pick this stuff up before we move forward. Different options, because that's the thing. More options are going to need to be brought onto the table. Whatever you choose to do with this dynamic, it's to be determined. I think that there's a lot up in the air beginning of the week. Someone's holding someone accountable. Not being well received. And that even could play out for some of you, just, even like I was hearing like someone that's older than you, someone that expects you to almost align with what they think, with what they feel, or bend to their will is what I'm hearing for some of you. It's good inspiration though. I think the places where certain things are falling flat beginning of the week, it's going to lose its appeal pretty quickly. Because again, going back to what I was saying earlier, we already have a sense of understanding what's happening around us. And so because of that, I even love kind of, Karen, what you were bringing up about the adjustments that you're working on making, right? Because it's giving us the things that aren't working. It's basically showing us, okay, like don't put more energy into that, right? Like put your time, focus on some new things, some new ideas, get some information around what you want to be doing next, that type of vibe. It feels a little bit more exciting midweek. We see some lessening of tension with Jupiter. Chiron, like I said, it's going to be tensely aspected. It's going to be tensely aspected all week. But it does look like, and this is why this is showing up this way, Page of Cups, Four of Cups, because it looks like someone's playing games. And to the point that they're trying to. Like, these are intentional games. These are intentional games to try to throw you off course. Because I'm seeing you trying to make decisions, trying to find avenues where you can connect to this life force, whatever that is for you, right? Whatever just kind of pumps that revitalizing sense through your veins that allows you to navigate the day in and day out. And someone's having a really hard time with your approach. Your approach looks different. It looks new. Again, part of that resistance that we're coming up against. I'm going to put these back in. We had the Fool, 10 of Wands, 7 of Swords. 7 of Swords is such a shady energy, right? Like, it's just, like I said, it's someone who's kind of like poking at you just because they're not getting attention. It's like a 5-year-old child, the temper tantrums, you know? And also midweek where we're seeing some of the tension pop up again, is around how people see us, the perception, kind of that, like I was talking about in the very beginning. We might get offended by people's opinions, or if we do try to have honest conversations, we might not like what people have to say. A lot of this exploration is happening because you're not happy in present circumstances. So it's really challenging you to get out of your comfort zone, but you're already at the point where you're ready to do so, you know? You're running into these dynamics where either people don't want to give, or they say they will and they just can't. They might be puffing themselves up a little bit, saying they can do more than what they can do. Because honestly, when they try to provoke or come after, whatever that looks like, they're really stressed out. Like, they have a lot going on. But again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. That's where they choose to spend their time and energy, is trying to get you to pay attention to them without just saying like, hey, can we have a conversation? Sometimes that's hard, apparently, you know. But a lot of this is going back to our ego. Again, wanting to be validated, wanting to be seen, wanting to be understood. We have this cluster of a lot of planets, actually. Venus, the Sun, Mars, and Mercury all are in Capricorn. And there is this kind of like fighting energy to be seen, to be recognized, to be understood. But without it again, it really reminds me of like instant gratification. I don't want to overexplain, so I apologize. There's a little stress that comes in midweek. Stress from, I think it's just how things are playing out. This is exactly what I'm talking about with the slowness in the astrology, the universe, the stars, the ethers, however you want to see it. Like, so, okay, you get inspired to go out and make new plans, etc., and then it doesn't really go anywhere. You're stressed because, and I think that those are some of the realities we're coming to grips with, is how we are actually dealing with what we have, even if we don't want to deal with it. That's that Uranus and Saturn in retrograde, or I'm sorry, Uranus in Taurus. Sorry about that. Taurus energy can be very stubborn. It's also earth energy. And this is stubborn around making changes. It's in the 8th house right now. Knight of Cups, the Moon, King of Swords. And this might even like be an energy that vacillates back and forth between you and someone else, where it's like you just can't get on the same page. One person's rational, then something else happens and more, and then someone gets upset. It's just like and I feel like that cycle goes back and forth. And so there's this energy of feeling like it might be a losing battle, or fear that it is. I feel like that's why end of the week, it's saying like, it's important to, like, and remember, just in real time, the physical world, life moves pretty slow. It takes time for things to manifest, right? So that's why middle of the week, it's about getting clear on what some of these ideas might be, that exploration component, really challenging yourself to find some type of happiness. It doesn't have to be in the current circumstances, because I don't think it's coming from there. It looks like whatever you're dealing with is just not emotionally available, is probably the best way to say it. And I think the rational component of this for you, of refinement, is to be able to kind of decipher when you need to unplug your energy from certain people and situations. But the fantasy is getting a little bit in the way. Neptune is still in Pisces, both Neptune and Saturn, and they are right on top of each other as well. So there's a lot of emotion around the work that we have to put in. It's easy to kind of like blame other people, especially where we don't want to take responsibility for the harder things. Needing some friends too, like I feel like this is about community, surrounding yourself with community, Maybe you have to find some new community or community that resonates a little bit more with you. People that can take your mind off some of the heaviness, some of the BS, some of the stuff that like you just don't really like, that it's like you're ready to separate yourself from it, but for whatever reason it lingers. And whether it is because people are intentionally trying to make it difficult or cause drama, cause tension, conflict, etc., or this is just more that it's like weighing heavily on your mind. This is about finding that breath of fresh air, having a time, space that you can just kind of get away. And on Sunday, next week, sorry, my chart's moving a little bit slow. That's when we have the new moon. So new moon is about a fresh start. I always look at it as like a blank slate energy, you know, where we can kind of just like give ourselves the opportunity to evaluate, to look at how things are moving and make adjustments. And especially this, you know, Capricorn, it's not the easiest energy. Why it's so strong, why it can endure is because, well, like in the tarot, it represents the devil. So it's like Capricorn can deal with the devil. Capricorn can go up against the devil and win. You have to have that strength, right? You have to have that endurance to overcome some of these bigger hills, these bigger obstacles. Going back to what Karen was talking about earlier, starting small, right? You don't have to conquer the mountain today or yesterday or tomorrow. You can give yourself time. And that's part of that being practically minded, which Earth energy is all about, right? Earth energy gives us that, okay, well, this would be, if I do A plus B, then this is what's going to happen. It's that kind of rational evaluation. We haven't seen a lot of air energy on the board this week, outside of like the fear and the stress. So you might be limiting yourself a little bit on the mental, or might have some thoughts that are creeping in. Old messages, Page of Pentacles, tying up your worth and value into like monetary things, money, assets, you know, that kind of stuff, how you look, what you drive, that kind of stuff. And what I'm saying is it's not sustainable, you know. You know, and this can even just be like making excuses as to why you can't do something. And I don't even want to call it an excuse, because I think it's valid and legit, right? If you have something kind of taking that life force from you, it's really hard to create boundaries, especially when certain habits and patterns are already established. And that dance, the relationship dance, whether it's love, whether it's a boss, whether it's a friend, a business partner, whatever, it's hard to rewrite it, you know, because both parties have to be willing. And there is some resistance. Okay, so we're getting this Chariot again. So here's the thing. It's like, it looks like it's not as much about, yes, I think there are some things that need to be handled, but fixating on that stuff is not going to bring the results that you want. And maybe some of that practical thinking that I was talking about might be getting in the way. I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but to some capacity, like that's how we make our plans, right? Like we can fantasize, dream about what we want our life to look like, and then we have to make the practical plan of how we're going to get there. Where this is more like, it looks like you're going to find things in more of a creative way, or connecting with the things that you love to do, because it's opening the doors to other people. And this goes back to this waiting energy that you're like stressing out about midweek. It goes back to that first message I was picking up, that reality check. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. And that's not a bad thing. I actually feel like it's working in our favor. Maybe you feel like time is running out, right? Like your oxygen is running out, or you need more life force. But I think a lot of this is coming up, because of the shadow. So we have the shadow in our blocked energy at the end of the week. So these are the little things. These are the causative factors. I talked about these the other day, Saturday, I think, during our health and wellness reading. So it's like Ayurveda has this mentality that like the first step towards health and well-being is eliminating the causative factors. Eliminating the things that are keeping you trapped. This is the devil in the traditional deck. So confirming some of those Capricorn messages I was talking about. But the devil can be a myriad of things. It's really just anything that's getting in the way of us like doing what we want to do for ourselves. It's a distraction, it's a habit, it's a mentality, it's an addiction, it's a, fill in the blank. Anything that like just ends up sucking our time, our energy. And yes, it can be people. I'm not hearing that it is as much in this situation. I think this is more about our own self-discovery. And again, that's why Capricorn is a hard energy, because it's ruled by Saturn in the zodiac, which is all about hard work, doing the hard work, your karma, overcoming the life lessons. It's very much the unpopular energy. I shouldn't say unpopular in the zodiac, but it just has this kind of like, yes, when we bust our butt and we achieve high success, that's great. But the actual grunt and grind to get there can be very arduous. And that's ultimately what I'm getting at. We're kind of in this grunt and grind mentality right now. Okay, there's my Queen of Swords. I was thinking about her. She pops up with our star, which I really love. So Queen of Swords is, and it's a great way to close this out. Queen of Swords is really good at weighing the pros and cons and cutting out the BS, right? She can acknowledge, this is hard for me. Yes, this sucks. Yes, I don't want to let it go or whatever. But she's still able to do it because she knows ultimately 5-10 years, it's actually going to be beneficial for her. And with the star, that's our wish fulfillment. That is the path that is leading us to go exactly where we want to be. And with the devil in our blocked energy, again, it's all these things that are kind of just, we have the recipe. We have the recipe right in front of us. I'm hearing, and I think the hangman did fall out for us, but it's like, it's readjustments, minor readjustments at that. Sometimes we overthink, sometimes we overanalyze, fearing that it's going to be like we have to do everything all at once, etc. I love it. Practice and wonderment. I think you got to get curious. I think some of this adventure type energy is even curious with yourself, curiosity. Playing around with how you do things, your schedule, your day-to-day, to kind of maximum efficiency, minimum effort. I love that one too. Which Ayurveda really is all about. But it is that reminder that we have to have that balance of activity and rest. It's like, if you stay up and study all night long, you're not going to retain anything because your brain is fried. Where if you take that power nap or, you sleep for 6 hours or whatever, 6-8 hours, whatever the recommendation is, then you're going to be able to retain the information better, that type of vibe. And that's what this really reminds me of. So it's kind of emphasizing getting out of our own comfort zone, trying some new things, learning from some other people, the way they do things, their experiences, people that you're not really connecting with right now, or like this is like information that you don't really know, something that you haven't really explored within yourself type vibe. I love this. Party time, have a little bit of fun. I hope that the readings don't come across like work, 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 work. Capricorn is definitely that energy, right? And when I'm talking about like refining or being able to kind of pick out the things that aren't really working for you, it's really just for your betterment down the road. Because it's not only going to make the manifestation come in way more fluidly, it's also going to prepare you for it way better. But we do need time to have fun, to relax, to enjoy, to just, breathe some breath of life into us. Sorry, I'm starting to shut down. I've been up and busy for, well, I don't even want to say how long, because it just goes against my point of having proper rest. I'm not the best about that. I love to be awake, I should say, in doing things. Authenticity. So authenticity, right? So really kind of connecting, being honest with yourself, maybe making sure that you're giving yourself that reality check, right? Like that you're honoring yourself with that is what I want to say. Like, don't just buy into the fantasy and leave it at that. Make sure you are challenging yourself a little bit. Because again, this feels like this is stuff that you know, but it feels like it's stuff that there's a little bit of resistance around for whatever reason. We get into a habit, we get into a groove, we haven't had enough fun in our life, we need to take a break from the grunt and grind. And, I'm hearing this break is more from whatever some of this stuff is that's kind of like hanging around, lingering around, whatever this person's situation is that you're dealing with that like might not be feeding into you as much or might not be feeding back in the same way and is leaving you essentially depleted. There's a lot of benefit that comes in when we can be honest with ourselves. Awareness is what I'm hearing, and acceptance, right? It's having awareness, it's having acceptance, because then we can kind of like understand, okay, now I know what this is, and so what are my next steps, that type of vibe. But I think I'm definitely picking up that energy of make sure to have fun, enjoy yourself this week. Yeah, there's some things that are annoying and tense, but I'm also hearing it's stuff like you don't have to get involved in, right? It's stuff that like might not make you feel great. Someone might say something, you want to be validated, whatever it may be. It's also things that we can just like leave and say, okay, well, it didn't work out my way. So, which is fine. It's fine because you can find other people, other situations that can help invest into you in that way, that maybe can fill up your cup or your bucket, as my son says, fill up your bucket with things that you do need, things that your heart, your mind, soul does need, because I think that is the most important. And just remember, it's a process. It's a process unfolding. I think you're a little bit further along than what you're giving yourself credit for. There's a little bit of anxiety of like, oh shit, this isn't happening as quick as I want, or whatever, it's fear that you're going to miss out, fear that it's not going to be available, limitation, etc. And that's where I think it's like getting you wound into a pretzel, where some of this refining is going to help you rebalance, restore, go have a good time, enjoy your life, find the things, connect with the people, the situations that are filling up your cup, that are filling up your energy. And yes, enjoy. All right. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Thank you so much for your time, energy, always. I super appreciate you. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Definitely drop comments below. I love to hear how it resonates, or just connect. Say hello, sharing a little love, a little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support that you bring to me, to the channel. Just know it blesses my heart. And I'm sending all the love and blessings back to you. Have a fabulous evening. I'll talk to you soon. New moon. I'll be live.